Welcome back to the Sovereignty Alliance. We will lead right into Episode 3 without the usual laying of the groundwork. If you missed Episode 1 and Episode 2, it is suggested that you enjoy them first to have a better understanding of the states that dared to say no. Any suggestion or comments are appreciated. We are new to this, and the learning curve is steep. We just hope it's the correct one to be on. Let's join the Carters and see what's happening on the streets. Ending our podcast will be a new blues tune Unchain by Rust Revival.
Last week we followed Emily in Seattle. Calm streets, subtle tension, and early signs of federal oversight. Observers documented, but the cities remained under local control. Headlines suggested collapse. Reality suggested preparation.
Observation and compliance, defiance and optics. That's the interplay shaping the story. Cities adapt, not react. The news coming out of D.C. is the usual cries of riots forming, criminals looting, and Antifa making demands. But the truth is, in Washington and Oregon, local residents are still shopping at Costco. The coffee shops are doing a booming business as patrons eat a bagel and sip a latte, openly asking the obvious question, just what is Washington talking about? Pass the jam, please. In California, it's a different story altogether. In favor of coffee, it's water bottles and chats over the pickleball nets.
Selective federal attention, National Guard on alert, communications tracked, all to create a perception of instability. The real question, who controls the narrative? That's what coming over the wires. It's mass confusion out there, according to D.C. The president has his little fingers super glued to his Truth Social account accusing everyone of anarchy. But don't fear, His Majesty will save the day yet again. Swollen ankles are keeping him off the golf course. That's a shame, as he is quieter when he's cheating on the course instead of in office. His press secretary comes across like a broken record. Soon she will be able to just put on a mask and just mimic him. There wouldn't be much difference. We do hear from the fringes hiding in the White House that everyone is getting very nervous. The tantrums are increasing, and the game plan is changing hourly.
Emily here, on the ground and watching. Everyone just looks confused. It's being told the hurricane is in full force, but you're just standing there enjoying a warm summer's day. On the ground, residents are aware, alert, but not panicked. Coordination and observation define daily life, not headlines. What I do see is that most everyone is not alone. I would say that when out, the family is out together. It's like they are in the calm before the storm and don't want to get separated when the proverbial brown stuff is widely distributed by a Rouge fan. The drive from Seattle to Portland was pleasant. Going through Tacoma was a breeze, and the huge Olympia brewery made me thirsty. Then into Portland. I was expecting hordes of homeless roaming about like the Walking Dead, but was surprised and pleased as 90% of the graffiti had been covered and the encampments that had been alongside the freeways pretty much cleaned up. Definitely not the cesspool DC was talking about. When I got off the freeway, downtown, there were still signs of the homeless and more litter than expected after the freeway being cleaned up. But still, not much different than any major city in the United States. I spent the night holed up with some friends from Portland State University, had some local beer, pizza at Scotty's Pizza Parlor. We reminisced about water polo. Seattle may have to coffee, but Portland's got the beer.
We are not declaring war on the United States. We are defending the sovereignty guaranteed to our citizens. Federal overreach will not stand. Social media accounts affiliated with the Alliance report real-time updates of resource redirections and security deployments. Early polling in Alliance states shows 65 to 70% public support for defiance of federal orders. Federal response DOJ issues criminal warnings against individual Alliance officials interfering with federal operations. President publicly labels the Alliance actions as unconstitutional obstruction, pledging that federal authority will be maintained. Signals are emerging, not of chaos, but of subtle standoffs, each carefully monitored and assessed.
Federal teams observe critical infrastructure, municipal buildings, ports, refineries. They're testing the city's responses, measuring restraint and compliance. Traffic in Portland is less than usual. When Emily called and told us she was in Portland, she said the trip was smooth, but there was considerably less traffic than usual. But that was the indication things weren't normal. Nothing to be concerned about, but the news coming over the radio was a mix of local news and national news. National news claimed the West Coast was starting to resemble a war zone, and local news discussed the Portland High School's upcoming football season.
Notice how the cities respond. Barricades go up in key areas. Officials document every interaction. Volunteers monitor perimeter. The goal is not confrontation, but clear control. Although there are barricades, they look like minor traffic control. For the trained eye, the tensions are high, but for the casual observer, all is fine. Probably some street repaving up ahead.
Data and observations show a discrepancy. Headlines push urgency. Local reality demonstrates order. Federal presence is significant, but not overwhelming.
I just received a call from a friend in Seattle. She followed a convoy of federal officers approaching a municipal facility. Officers are not in riot gear, yet tension is palpable. Residents notice, whisper, and record. I advised her to just go about her daily routine, but keep alert and stay away from obvious danger zones.
Choreography matters. Barricades, checkpoints, presence, all convey readiness without violence. This is as much messaging as it is protection. Expect to see both sides to keep posturing. If you were looking for a little humor, then think of two gorillas circling and occasionally beating their chest over a banana. Neither of them particularity wants, but they must maintain face.
The balance is delicate. Escalate too soon and perception collapses. Wait too long and control may be questioned. Cities walk a fine line. DC is starting to get the message. This isn't a game for the states, and they know what the stakes are. We're starting to get some backwater news that not everyone in DC is behind this, and they seem to be in a carefully choreographed dance.
Emily documents the first visible confrontations, not of violence but of strategy, coordination, and public attention.
Up at dawn and things feel tense. It seems during the night the DC has been beating their chest. Enough so that I would say the feeling in the air would best be described as cautious. Portland feels calm, but deliberate. Barricades at key bridges, officials in conference, volunteers watching closely. The message is simple. We comply where necessary, but we remain sovereign. I talked to Mom and Dad this morning. DC is taking a stand. Comply, or we will activate the National Guard to give support where needed. Yet the feeling is, the state is more or less thumbing their nose in response. One could almost laugh if we didn't know how unstable DC is becoming. The question is there more than one voice in control? Because it seems like it.
Los Angeles, sprawling and complex, mirrors this approach. Federal observers are noted, but movement is controlled, measured, and visible. Daily life continues. MacArthur's Park, the dedicated chess tables are long gone, but you can still find a lively chess or checkers game to either watch, or if you're gluten for punishment, to play. Bring your own bottle of Ripple.
Observe the subtle signals, camera flashes, street positioning, conversation monitoring. Every action communicates readiness, authority, and restraint. Although on the whole it looks like the states are looking like a deer in the headlights, the signs show otherwise. Everywhere you look, the state police is visible. Behind the scenes, we are getting reports that individual guardsmen are saying that this isn't their fight. If push comes to shove, they aren't sure what they will do. They don't have the desire to fight friends over a cause they oppose.
The headlines will call this chaos, but reality is order, vigilance, and coordination. The optics create the narrative the federal authorities want, but the cities dictate the terms on the ground. The feeling is tense but resolved.
I meet with community organizers and city officials. A press badge opens doors. They emphasize documentation, calm, and citizen involvement. Volunteers help monitor activity. Everyone is aware. One misstep could spark attention or escalation. Nobody seems to want that, but they are starting to use the Marines' motto, "Don't tread on me." It's almost like a chant. 2 cities, 2 responses, both labeled threats, both quietly asserting control. And yet, headlines ignore the nuance. Observation, compliance, and vigilance define daily life. When you think about it, the responses were the same. Don't tread on me. And I think they mean it.
Selective enforcement is the strategy. The narrative frames cities as enemies to justify oversight. But the reality tells a different story. Although still early in the game, DC has maybe laid out their cards a little too soon. There seems to be growing friction in the federal ranks. Parties from both sides are becoming increasingly aware that they are becoming targets themselves. The states want to protect what is theirs. And as the issues come out, the red states are beginning to see that they have a lot at stake and to lose. Maybe the representatives are starting to reevaluate where their loyalties lay, the party or the people.
Next week, we'll see how federal pressure intensifies and how coordinated standoffs emerge when calm is tested and the first real flashpoints appear.
From Seattle to Los Angeles, tension rises quietly. Citizens watch, officials prepare, and the balance between perception and control hangs in the air.
The first confrontations confidential. Internal distribution. Only summary. By early July 2026, the Sovereignty Alliance had grown to 6 states: California, Texas, Oregon, Oklahoma, Louisiana, and Washington. With federal enforcement orders in motion, the first direct confrontations between alliance authorities and federal agents are underway. July 2nd to 5th. Federal moves and state counters, Texas refinery. Standoff Federal Energy Authority teams attempt to take control of 2 major Texas refineries. Texas Department of Public Safety units, under Governor Reynolds' orders, block access roads. Local law enforcement is explicitly instructed not to cooperate with federal marshals. Media reports show heavily armed security perimeters. Tension escalates, but no shots fired. California water stations. Federal engineers arrive at pumping stations in Central Valley. California Department of Water Resources deploys state security and technical crews to reroute water flows to Alliance-approved channels. Engineers report being unable to operate under federal directives. Alliance messaging and coordination governors hold a joint televised press conference. We are not declaring war on the United States. We are defending the sovereignty guaranteed to our citizens. Federal overreach will not stand. Social media accounts affiliated with the Alliance report real-time updates of resource redirections and security deployments. Early polling in Alliance states shows 65 to 70% public support for defiance of federal orders. Federal response: DOJ issues criminal warnings against individual Alliance officials interfering with federal operations. President publicly labels the Alliance actions as unconstitutional obstruction, pledging that federal authority will be maintained. Strategic advisors debate National Guard deployment, but federal leadership hesitates due to potential political fallout and the risk of violent escalation. Critical incidents: Oregon-Washington water transfer. Alliance trucks redirect federally allocated water to northern farms. Federal officials threaten fines and arrests. Louisiana port watch. State police secure key shipping channels, preventing federal inspectors from accessing offshore platforms. Media amplification. Alliance begins framing incidents as citizens versus Washington, increasing national attention and pressure on Congress. Analyst note: the Alliance is testing the boundaries of federal authority without initiating armed conflict, relying on legal cover and physical presence. The situation is delicate. A misstep by either side could escalate into violence. Coordination between ideologically diverse states suggests a shared recognition that sovereignty is a unifying cause in this specific context. Potential risk level: very high. Next moves could trigger violent standoffs or force federal negotiation.
We hope you are enjoying our efforts. For us, it's actually getting more fun as we go. So please stay tuned to this channel. Wait, that's Batman's Stay Tuned. Anyway, please join us for episode 4 of the Sovereignty Alliance. Trigger Month begins.
Yeah, listen up now. Unchain my vote, don't let me be. You don't care a thing about democracy. You lied and you schemed, you played us for fools, but truth is breaking through. We're done with your rules. Unchain my vote, set it free. Unchain my vote, can't you see? Tired of your chaos, tired of your show. Unchain my vote, just let it go. You brag about winning, but you lost your shame. Every courtroom in the country knows your name. You stir up the anger, but the fire's gone cold. We're taking back the